Hi everyone. Hi everyone. I think everyone know what a gRPC API is by now. So I'd like to talk about instrumentation. How do we instrument gRPC APIs? We'll be talking about instrumenting gRPC APIs. So I think you know what a gRPC API is. We have a client and we have a server. So we just do a demo with two different projects. Then one will be a microservice, then one will be a monolith. So what is instrumentation? Who knows? I think there are three pillars of instrumentation. Then there is one creeping in. So who can define any of them? Traces, what are traces? Yes? What are traces? So traces are just recording of, I think it's network packet, how the data goes in, to which services it hits, and back to the user. Then what are logs? Logs, yes? What are logs? How many people instrument the applications? Yes. Let's start from there. Yes. Other people? Who mna deploy tu hivyo? Yes? Yes, so they are... Chris, can you explain any of them?
I mean, sure. So logs are, basically output that a program puts out. So this could be, information about the request or information about the processes that are running within the program. And when we look at traces, this is when we could, consider like a group of logs within a specific contextual case. It could be a request, it could be a transaction that we are defining, and basically, trace ends up becoming just a collection of logs. Yeah.
Matrix? Yes? Hey, he said menyamaza sana. Then what are profiles? So profiles are, let's say, how the program is. What part of the program takes up memory? What part of the program takes a lot of time to compute? Things like those. So we'll be able to see, yes, we'll be able to instrument that. So we have like Grafana calls them the LGTM stack. Loki, Grafana, Tempo, and MIMIR. So we have the traces, logs, metrics, and profiles. So we'll just do a demo of the different, so that we can be able to see this in action. So we have a simple service called the calculator application. Can you be able to see my screen? So we have different functions. So we have the addition function. So the addition function will simulate a process that takes up memory. So we are filling around, I think it's half a gig of memory before returning the results. Then we have a function that takes time to compute. So this is subtract. Then we have multiply that makes a third-party request to a different service. Then we have divide. So divide will return the results. So we have an error func to simulate errors. So I think it's 0.8 probability that the request will fail, so that you can be able to see succeeded events and failed events. So let's try and we'll deploy this, then we'll deploy the Grafana stack. So it's Loki, Tempo, Grafana, to be able to see those different things in actions. So to simulate traffic, we'll do load testing. So there is a tool by Grafana called K6. It will hit all the 4 endpoints. So we'll do the addition, subtract, multiply, and divide operation. So the first thing will be logs that have been generated by the service. So we can be able to view the logs using Grafana. So we can see there are certain, I think all operations failed, yes. There was a context cancelled. So we had some operations that failed, and we can be able to create, let's say, error rate on how many endpoints failed versus how many succeeded. Then we'll also be able to see, let's say, tempo. So tempo will be able to visualize our traces. So since this is just one service, we'll be able to see only one endpoint that is being hit, which is the calculate add operation. So if it's microservices and you're hitting different services, you'll be able to see the network transaction. Then let's look at profiles. So we can be able to see the function we had on add operation to simulate a function that is doing bad memory management. So we can be able to see it took up 48 gigs. So you can drill down to specific functions and know which functions take up a lot of memory and do optimization on them. So the next thing is there is an open source IoT platform called Magistrala. So Magistrala is an IoT platform. Their users, devices, and devices can communicate using HTTP, MQTT, and COAP. So we'll try and do a simulation on it, then just see the different metrics you're getting. So I deployed, let's see it. So we are starting the service with the same stack we had initially. So we'll have Grafana to be able to see the different visualization. Then we'll simulate a workload. So these are creating two entities, then publishing two messages from the two different devices. So we will be able to see this in the dashboard. Okay, yes, that was successful. So let's go to the dashboard and see. So let's have a look at the traces. So for instance, there is a endpoint we hit which is enable groups operation. So this is the specific URL. But what it will do, we have an auth service. So you need to authorize if that person is authorized to do that operation. So it will go to the auth service and come back. So it communicates via gRPC API. So we'll be able to see the request. So this is the thing service. Then it goes to the auth service and back to the thing service. So we can be able to see the actual SQL query that has been run. So we can be able to, let's say, if there is a problem, we can be able to pinpoint what the issue is in our system. Can you be able to see it? Yes? So the first one was this SQL statement. Then there was another one on update. So I'd like to show another trace on, let's see. So this is a COAP adapter. So COAP adapter, what we'll do is publish. COAP is Constrained Application Protocol. So it's different from HTTP. It's used on embedded devices. So we have a COAP adapter that will receive that message. Then it will do an authorize. It will go to now the thing service. And you can be able to see the network transaction. So when we first hit that endpoint, we went to the thing service. Then the thing service will have the trace for the auth service inside it. Then it will go back to the COAP service. So those are traces, let's say, in a distributed system. So you can be able to trace from the request how the request entered from a specific endpoint up to the final destination. Then let's look at some metrics. So the metrics chart has not been populated yet. Actually, metrics is on the other monolith. So we'll not be able to see it here, but I think we can be able to see profiles here. So from this, we don't have that specific function where we had a function that is mismanaging memory. We don't have something like that. So we can be able to drill down and see that the total cost is 409 megabytes compared to what we had initially. It's around 1 gig. Yes. So that is instrumentation of gRPC APIs. There are 3 fundamental things: logging, tracing, and metrics. Then the fourth one that has not been, let's say, standardized, because logging, traces, and metrics are standardized by OpenTelemetry. So it's profiles. So to be able to profile your application. Yes. Thank you, everyone.